Good morning, Center for Spiritual Living, Eugene. Wherever you are right now, find a comfortable spot. Perhaps close your eyes and now turn your awareness in the direction of your breath, slowing your breath down, long, slow inhales. And at the top of your inhale, hold for a moment and slowly exhale, long and slow. Continue this cycle for a few moments, holding the breath for as long as comfortable. And with every inhalation, find yourself in a deeper state of calmness, an inner state of connectedness beyond the boundary. Begin to align your awareness to slowly move in the direction and purely into the field of consciousness. Not clinging to any thought and not resisting any thought. Just the breath, long and slow, moving into the direction of pure consciousness, the source. And with every breath, sink deeper and deeper into this restful place. And now, allow the breath to move more naturally and effortlessly. And within your own consciousness, visualize an immense light. See this light within your third eye. See it expanding and permeating your entire body. Feel this light creating a calm and joyful heart, a strong, robust body, and an uplifted mind. A pure light permeating your entire being. Continue to visualize the light at your third eye. That point between the eyebrows, just right above. No fear, no stress, no anxiety. Just inner, restful peace. As you sink deeper and deeper into this restful place, initiate an intention. See this light expanding and permeating your whole being. going beyond this body and space that you are in. Initiate from the deepest level of your consciousness. An emergence of this light as it expands and touches everyone on this planet. This tiny blue dot floating around in the infinite galactic space. Include all sentient beings. See this immense light. See it now resolving all crises that are current, all things that are not in pure alignment with Source. See an emergence of a new consciousness, more loving, more connected, more inspired. A consciousness filled with compassion. See this light now, creating a deep healing for all sentient beings. See it with your third eye. Initiate this intention right now at the pure field of your consciousness and let it reverberate at the source. A new emergence, a great healing happening right now. Just an innocent intention is all I ask. It is not your job to figure out how in this moment. All you have to do is just hold this intention innocently and breathe. This intention of the great healing and awake consciousness of all sentient beings in this light. Hold this intention clear. Let it reverberate inwardly with your breath and outwardly with your breath. And know in your heart that this is already so. Feel that feeling in your heart as we together collectively transcend this and any challenge. Feel that ease in your heart right now. While maintaining this awareness of this light permeating the entire planet, know that something greater at work right now, and you are part of this great healing and awakening. Slowly move your awareness back into your body, watching the breath, seeing the light. A joyful, graceful, compassionate heart. A body full of vitality. A clear, uplifted mind slow, graceful breaths. And slowly bring your hands to your heart. Maybe place the left hand on top of the right, or perhaps even in a prayer mudra at the heart. And here, in your own words, say a deep intention into the field from your heart right now. Deep breath in. The biggest prayer, the biggest anything I can ever do is just say, thank you, thank you, thank you. Continue to let that prayer reverberate out. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Stay in this place for as long as you would like. And when you begin to come out slowly. And practice this meditation, this prayer, this intention every day. Perhaps by yourself, perhaps with friends, family. Join together. Initiate this intention together, because we are truly in this together. And at the fundamental level of self, we are interconnected. There is a great teaching in this for us, and realizing how deeply connected we all are to everything. Loka samasta sukhi no bhavantu. May all beings truly wake up and see their inherent truth. And so it is.
Good morning and welcome to Center for Spiritual Living Eugene. My name is Linda Finley. I am the spiritual director here this morning, or for the last 14 years, basically, counting this morning. And I'm presiding today to welcome you and do this Thanksgiving week as we move into looking at what it is to truly be in community, in beloved community together. Center for Spiritual Living Eugene has been in this town of Eugene for 50 years now, serving Lane County, and now with live feed and streaming, we're serving the world, and we are grateful to be doing that and grateful to have you with us whenever you are joining us, whether it's Sunday morning before Thanksgiving or sometime in June in the middle of the evening. Whenever you've come with us, we are grateful to have you here. We are a New Thought spiritual community. New Thought is an organization of spiritual centers that are devoted to the idea that God is all there is, that there is one infinite creator that dwells in and through all of creation, that it's not out there somewhere, but it is imbued in everything that is. It is in the trees, it is in the land, it is in the water, it is in the air, it is in the bodies of the people and the animals walking the earth. Here at Center for Spiritual Living, we believe that spiritually empowered people live richer and fuller lives. Therefore, we strive to inspire minds through conversation, through talks, through classes, through workshops where we explore ideas together. We strive to open hearts through service and caring for one another and seeing how we may be in service to one another, and empowering lives by helping everyone waken to the fact that each of us is the divine in action. And we do this using our teaching known as the science of mind and using its principles to make that happen for people. Because what we're truly working for is a world that works for everyone. We have a declaration of principles that was written approximately 100 years ago by our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, when someone asked him, well, what is it that we believe? What is it that this thing believes? And so he wrote these out, and over the years, they have been kind of broken into pieces, and we are sharing them a bit each week so that we are reminded of what it is that we really stand for. This is week 8. This is week 8 in the series of 13. We believe in the direct revelation of truth through the intuitive and spiritual nature of humanity. That any person may become a revealer of truth who lives in close contact with the indwelling God. You may recall a couple of weeks ago, we said that the highest God and the innermost God is one God. And so we ask that we reach into that innermost God, that we open to the intuitive presence of the one within us. And in so doing, each of us becomes a revealer of truth. I'm going to invite now our wonderful religious science practitioner, Sean Ferguson, who did that amazing meditation for us just a few moments ago. I'm going to invite him to come back and do the opening treatment to bless this meeting and offer it up. So, Sean.
Good morning, Center. Good morning, my beautiful family. Wherever you are, just take a moment. Again, I'm going to ask you to close your eyes if it's comfortable for you. And I would invite you to place your hands on your heart, as I'm going to give you a beautiful mantra to begin today's invocation. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudyate Purnyasa Purnamadaya Purnamam yate. Pranam, meaning the whole, the complete, the one, the indivisible, the only thing that is happening all the time. This is a great invitation and also invocation, and perhaps even a declaration to all that is. And I know that this truth, that this invitation is inviting me even to a deep level of equanimity, that perhaps that this is the prerequisite when we enter the fundamental nature of all reality, and that this love for the one is also a part of who I am and who we all are. And I know I showed up here for today's services not by accident, but by pure divine appointment. I showed up here so I can move in the direction of my evolution, correcting any incorrect knowledge that I have maintained up to this point. I know that the music that is played inspires me. I know that the message that is given to me, I take that into my being. Not so much the information, but the tools. I know that my purpose is to evolve and to progressively change into the direction of more oneness, more unity, more love. And for this, I am just so absolutely grateful. I'm grateful to the center. I'm grateful for everyone that comes together to make this happen. And I'm truly grateful for every one of you for tuning in right now. So I just let this prayer go, knowing it is so and it is done. And together we say, and so it is.
Thank you, Sean. Appreciate that so much. That was beautiful. And I do want to do a shout out once again to Nancy Fisher for this amazing altar, to Michael Brown for the sound, to John Hicks and Kevin Buttry for working on the cameras, to Liz Callahan and Kathy Kleppinger for working on the operating system, to Dale Offit for being here and just being available wherever he's needed, and to the beautiful Angela Alcantar, another religious science practitioner who's going to be offering the message today. But first, we're going to do our affirmation for November. And so if that could be brought up on the screen so all of you can see it, that would be great. How we do this is we read it through a couple of times. I read it through once so you can just listen to it and absorb it. And then I am imagining you at home reading it aloud with us together here. So this is the fourth one. We're actually going to get to do this 5 times because there's one more Sunday this month. But if you would just listen to me, and then the second time we'll read it aloud. So, I am a conduit through which spirit expresses its creative nature. I choose wisely and compassionately, and I stand for love in this world. And together we say, I am a conduit through which spirit expresses its creative nature. I choose wisely and compassionately, and I stand for love in this world. Well, somebody I know who stands for love is this amazing, amazing woman, Phoebe Bloom, who is our guest musician today. She's the mother of 2. She is a brilliant singer, everything from opera to heavy metal rock and anything in between. And she's one of the few people I know who can actually sing in a minor key and make it sound beautiful. And she's going to be doing a song. And then after that song, we'll go right into Angela Alcantar, who's doing today's message. So Phoebe, we are ready for your majesty.
Reverend Linda requested a song, and so I'm gonna give it a shot here for y'all. Miss you. Where's my cat? We rise, humbly hearted, rise, won't be divided, rise, with spirit to guide us, rise, with hope and prayer, we find ourselves here. With hope and prayer, we're right here. With hope and prayer, we find ourselves here. With hope, with prayer, we're right here. And we rise, all of the children rise, elders with wisdom rise, ancestors surround us, rise, with hope and with prayer, we're right here. With hope and prayer, we're right here. With hope and prayer, we find ourselves here. With hope and prayer, we're right here. We rise up from the wreckage, rise with tears and with courage, rise, we're fighting for life, rise, oh, we rise. There's a cat again.
Thank you so much, Phoebe. As always, it's my great pleasure to be here to share the message with you today. So again, thank you for joining us. The theme for this month has been living as compassionate conduits. And today's specific theme is God is not motivated if you aren't. I'm going to begin by defining conduit, because honestly, I didn't really know if I knew the definition before I looked it up. Then I'm going to talk about what does it mean to motivate God, and ultimately move into us as compassionate conduits. In the Merriam-Webster Dictionary Online, it defines conduit as a natural or artificial channel through which something is conveyed, a means of transmitting or distributing. And obviously this is absolutely perfect because we are the channels through which spirit expresses itself. And what really struck me was the fourth definition, which is considered an archaic definition. It also means fountain, the source from which something proceeds or is supplied. In Living the Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes writes, quote, "Each of us is a fountain of life. There is a God pressure back of each of us, a life force seeking outlet through our thoughts and acts. Each one of us is an inlet to the divine. But because we are individuals, we can inhibit its flow. We can block it or squeeze it down to a small volume or even stop it. Or we can open up all the channels of faith and conviction and hope, and we can increase its flow. So this is our exploration today, to look at how we can increase the flow of the divine as us, as compassionate conduits. So let's just take a look at this piece of paper and imagine God as a blank piece of paper. How will you engage it? How will you choose to allow it to flow? So for those of you on Facebook at this moment, I invite you to write a few comments of how can you use this piece of paper? What can it be? Some examples I came up with is it could be a snowball. It could be used for a doodle or some other piece of art. It could be a letter. It could be a card. It could be used to make origami, a notepad, the page of a book, or it could be used to make an airplane. And God, like the airplane, cannot move without our direction, without our thought. So we must give it a movement, a direction to go. So I ask you again, how will you engage it? How will you choose to allow spirit to flow? How will you motivate the infinite potential? I think for many of us, when we first find science of mind, it's like a salve to an aching pain. It's something our soul has been longing for. And when we receive the gift, it's a gift of like instant relief when we find it and we learn how to apply these principles. We learn that change your thinking, change your life. And we know that it works and we know that it's powerful. And then for some of us, we come to realize, for some of us, it then becomes difficult to admit when we feel pain or when we feel fear. We may be afraid to even allow such thoughts to enter our mind for fear of what they might produce in our outer world. But as we continue to learn, as we continue the journey, we realize that we come full circle. We come back to our internal pain, and that we have to integrate it. We have to integrate our feelings, our fear, our pain, that it's necessary and required for transformation to unfold. We acknowledge it, we heal it, so that we can reveal our greater truth. And we have to feel it to heal it in order to transform it. The only way out is through. And Ernest Holmes, again, he kind of hits on this in The Science of Mind, page 238, quote, "A practitioner must be filled with the spirit of divine compassion. He must have a deep, underlying sense of unity and sympathy. Else he will do little good. But he must not have sympathy with the disease. The only guarantee of our divinity is in its expression through our humanity," end quote. And what I'm interpreting this to say is that we acknowledge the effect. We acknowledge the fear, we acknowledge the pain, because that's how we show up as our divine humanity. And we simultaneously hold the highest truth because we have the strength and the clarity to do both. And I mention all of this because much of the world is suffering great pain right now in one form or another. The collective outer is a manifestation of the collective inner. I feel that we are being called to heal these deep generational pains within our families, within our communities, and within the world. So the big question, how do we get through the pain we are collectively experiencing? How do we show up as compassion in the midst of everything that is happening? How do we motivate ourselves to show up as God, as love. In a Facebook meme that I saw yesterday, it said, "We can't heal the world today, but we can begin with a voice of compassion, a heart of love, an act of kindness." So that is what we are being called to do. We are being called to show up with compassion and kindness. And we can begin by developing compassion within ourselves, for ourselves, and then extending that compassion to others. Compassion contains within it a deep concern. You know another person is suffering, and so you sit with them. You stay close. You look and you listen deeply so that you are able to touch their pain. And in this deep communication, in this deep communion, that alone brings relief. What I've experienced for myself is that in order to reach this level of compassion, I had to face my own pains so that I would stop projecting them onto others. I had to do my inner work. And it took at least 12 years. And my reference is a catalyst of the work I've done with my younger son, leaning full on into different pains of our family history. And if we don't look at our inner pains, they continue to show up in one form or another until we face them and we work through them. So coming back around to the healing power of compassion, I'm going to quote Thich Nhat Hanh from his book, The Heart of the Buddha's Teaching. Quote, "One compassionate word, action, or thought can reduce another person's suffering and bring them joy. One word can give comfort and confidence, destroy doubt, help someone avoid a mistake, reconcile conflict, or open the door to liberation. One thought can do the same because thoughts and words lead to action. With compassion in our heart, every thought, word, and deed can bring about a miracle." I'm going to say that again. With compassion in our heart, every thought, word, and deed can bring about a miracle. You may ask yourself, but how can I have compassion? Or why should I have compassion for people who are not behaving compassionately towards me, or people who are behaving badly, whatever it may be? And again, a quote from Thich Nhat Hanh I felt speaks to this. And he said about himself, quote, "When I was a novice, I could not understand why, if the world is filled with suffering, the Buddha has such a beautiful smile. Why isn't he disturbed by all the suffering? Later, I discovered that the Buddha has enough understanding, calmness, and strength. That is why the suffering does not overwhelm him. He's able to smile to suffering because he knows how to take care of it and how to help transform it. We need to be aware of the suffering, but retain our clarity, calmness, and strength so we can help transform the situation." End quote. So again, I believe these times are calling us to transform our personal suffering, thus building our capacity to hold compassion when others are suffering. And so yet another way that we can activate God, we can motivate God, we can show up as God is through seeking to understand before we seek to be understood. And Thich Nhat Hanh, still referring to the heart of the Buddha's teaching, says that without understanding, our love is not true love. We must look deeply in order to see and understand the needs, aspirations, and suffering of another. We all need love. Love brings us joy and well-being. And in order to be loved, we have to love, which means we have to understand. So a way that we can do this, a way that we can cultivate ourselves as compassionate conduits, is to seek deep understanding and calmness through mindful breathing, meditation, and prayer. And we practice so that we can show up with the clarity and the calmness. We can show up as the strength to help transform suffering. And as I was doing further research to decide which sources I wanted to include today, which inspirations I wanted to share, I remembered Carolyn Myss. In her book, Entering the Castle, she talks about what it means to be a contemporary mystic. And it really spoke to me about what we can do to further cultivate ourselves. And I'm going to share a bit of that with you now. Quoting Carolyn, like the first Buddhists, Taoists, and Christians, the contemporary mystic is called to represent an invisible power in the world through a personal spiritual practice, through the power of prayer, through living consciously and practicing compassion, and through becoming a channel, conduit, for grace. A mystic without a monastery serves visibly in his or her personal life, among friends and family and co-workers, strangers and adversaries, and invisibly through prayer and channeling grace into the greater world. She continues by saying, as a contemporary mystic, you are measured by the quality of attitude you bring to all of your tasks, by your capacity to be a model of generosity, and by channeling the fear that there is not enough to go around, whether that is money, love, food, fame, power, attention, success, or social position. Mystical service means modeling calm in chaos, kindness amid anger, forgiveness at all times, personal integrity. It means to live, in other words, mindful that every second offers a choice to either channel grace or withhold it. End quote. And she further says that it's not the expectation that we be perfect, but the goal is to practice. The goal is to live consciously and in accordance to our highest truth, the highest truth that our soul can maintain. And remembering that life is a journey of practicing consciousness, not perfecting it. To be a mystic without a monastery means that you make a conscious decision to stop being motivated by fear and replace that fear with faith and compassion. You become a powerful instrument of God's grace. So again, how can we motivate God? How can we motivate ourselves to show up as the love and the grace that God is? We can do this through spiritual practice, prayer, living consciously, practicing compassion, being mindful of our attitude in all situations, and by leading by example, by being the change that we want to see in the world. So this would be my call to action for everyone. Because we are the ones that we've been waiting for. No one else is going to do it for us. We are called to do the work ourselves. So seek to connect, seek to understand, and be a part of the solution. We have no idea what someone else is going through or what's motivating their choices. Take care of yourself, do your inner work, and seek support when needed. We need a place to have our unhindered emotions, to express how we're really feeling, the frustration, the fear, the pain. And to do that work so that when we show up, we can show up as compassion. Notice old patterns and choose new behaviors. Honor the volition that each person has. Just as Spirit gave us choice, everyone has choice. Consider what energy you're putting out into the world. As a side note, we have a tendency to pay more attention to negativity. So for every negative thought or action that you notice, see if you can also replace or put into the world at least 5 positive thoughts or actions. Lead by example through your actions, and be the love that God is, and just see what happens. Ernest Holmes asks us to put this into action, to experiment, so you have nothing to lose and everything to gain. So in conclusion, again, going back to Ernest Holmes' Living the Science of Mind, each one of us is an inlet to the divine. But because we are individuals, we can inhibit its flow. We can block it or squeeze it down to a small volume or even stop it. Or we can open up all the channels of faith and conviction and hope, and we can increase its flow. So I ask you, how do you choose to motivate God? How do you choose to motivate yourself to show up as God? And I'll close by inviting you to repeat this affirmation with me. I choose to be a compassionate conduit of God. I choose to live consciously. I give myself and others grace. Thank you for being here. And we now invite Sean to come back and bless the offering.
Take that gift that you have and know that when you give, you also receive. That I can't take without receiving, and I can't give without receiving. So I give wholeheartedly, openly, and lovingly to the center that makes all things possible, and to this teaching. And so it is.
A song called Preacher by One Republic. When I was a kid, my grandfather was a preacher. He'd talk about God, yeah, he was something like a teacher. He said God only helps those who learn to help themselves. It was 1,000,000 miles from $1,000,000, but you could never spend as well. Whoa. When I was a kid, I used to buy and sell gravity. I knew how to fly, I would teach you for free. I broke every window in my hotel hall. But I was only 5 years old, 12 years scar. Now I hear the same voice echo in my mind. So girl, you got an angel to chase the devil at night. Oh, when I was a kid, my grandfather was a preacher. You talk about God, yeah, he was something like a teacher. He said God only helps those who learn to help themselves. It was 1,000,000 miles from $1,000,000, but you can never spend this way. Oh, I took a little faith and I put it in a parking lot. I drove to a strange town full of haves and have-nots. And then I walked through this storybook life. I was looking for an angel to chase the devil at night. Oh, when I was a kid, my grandfather was a preacher. He talked about God, yeah, he was something like a teacher. He said God only helps those who learn to help themselves. He was a million miles from $1 million, but you could never spend his money. Ooh, wave, put your hands up, hands down. 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 When I was a kid, my grandfather was a preacher, and he talked about love, yeah, he was something like a teacher. God only helps those who learn to help themselves. He was a million miles from $1 million, but you could never spend his wealth. He was a million miles from $1 million, that you could never spend his wealth. That's a band called One Republic. It's a song called Preacher, in case I didn't say that already.
Oh, Phoebe, awesome. And on the first song, I didn't get a chance to thank the cat for entering in and saying hello a couple of times. The joys of being at home and producing. Could we get the slides up, and I will do the announcements for everyone, as I know that's what you've all been waiting for all this whole time. After service, remember you can hang out on Zoom. If you can go to the Facebook group and find the link, or you can go to this last week's newsletter and the link is there. And I believe they're also putting it in chat for you. So if you're watching it live, just click on chat and you can go over there and click on the link for the 11:15 Zoom group that's meeting after the service. If you haven't filled out your annual giving intention form yet, there's still time. So just go to the newsletter and renew your membership and put down again what you plan to give for the coming year. This Thursday night at 6:30, we did get it put in on Zoom. We were going to be sending out the link in the newsletter, and it will be in the Facebook group. There will be a Zoom gathering at 6:30 Thanksgiving Eve. That's the 25th, I believe. And we'll be just getting together and talking about what we're grateful for and saying hi to each other and checking in. It's just a very informal, really time to love on one another and be grateful for one another. So if you can, please give us a chance to, check in at 6:30 on Wednesday. And then, the holiday joy. We need at least 15 more gifts. We are delighted because like 6 people immediately contacted Joanne and signed up for gifts for the families. We have 11 people that we're getting gifts for. And this is something that we've always done, and it's kind of made us feel like we're really helping in the community. There's 2 families and 2 adults that we're going to be, besides the families, that we're going to be helping out. And it gives us an opportunity to feel connected. If you're not up to going out shopping, there's all kinds of online shopping. Virtually every store does online shopping, and you can have the stuff shipped here to the center if you choose, and we'll have people who can wrap the packages for you. So please, check your heart, check your space, check how much you think you can give this year, and adopt one or two of the people in our group that we've been provided by St. Vincent de Paul, and make their Christmas a little bit merrier. And I think that's all we've got. Yeah, those are all the announcements, other than I love you, I miss you, and if you would like to learn how to do computerized, the back end of this thing, and if you're good on computer and you'd kind of like to maybe once a week or once a month come down and work on doing the broadcast here, we would love to have you be part of that. So give us a call at the office or check in with me. And in the meantime, wear your mask, wash your hands, love one another, and be real gentle with yourself all the time. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being part of this community. You are loved.